was awake when you called me, but I couldn't pick up. Stuck thinking about why I'm so lonely, even when I've got love. 'Cause I take one step then I spiral. I can't get out till I'm hurt. I wanna break out but not able. I'm laying down in the dirt. Maybe I just need some time to pull myself together. I don't really feel like trying now. Will I stay forever? No, we'll be alright. I wish every night. Will somebody save me? 'Cause I'm not okay here. Yeah, I'm tired of feeling like I'm caught on a wire. Will I be alright someday? I'm staring down at the empty, so full of regret. 'Cause I know for sure you won't find me if you can't see me yet. So I leave your calls on the table, 'cause I can't find any words to tell you I'm not the one you thought would be there for you. And maybe I just need some time to find myself again. Yeah, I don't really feel like trying now. Will this ever end? We'll be alright. I wish every night. Will somebody save me? 'Cause I'm not okay here. Yeah, I'm tired of feeling like
All right, I think I'm ready to start now. What's up, XBL? How are you doing today? There we go. Trying to figure out a good volume for the music. All right. Scooch this bad boy up a little bit. Awesome. Awesome. Good to hear. So we are going to be using the Equalz V3 stabilizers for this build. So this is the first time I'll be using these. So we'll be kind of doing a review of these as well. Awesome. Glad organ's fun. I personally snowboard, so. But skiing is pretty difficult, so. I haven't been snowboarding in a while, though. So. It's I do like the way these come packaged in this box versus how they previously came packaged just in a plastic bag, so. Why couldn't you learn how to snowboard? Was it just that you couldn't do it? Was it too difficult, or was there some other reason you couldn't learn? go there. There we go. Hello Ace30, how are you doing today? Hope you're having a good week so far. Let's grab the Krytox and get started on these, I think. Yeah. Should be enough of this one before I have to dip into... Shouldn't have to dip into the new stuff I just got for the stabilizers. We should be able to finish off with this, we'll see. Actually, I should have brought over the new stuff. Oh, awesome. Awesome. Glad you are stopping on by. Sucks you're having a boring day. Hopefully you enjoy the build stream we have going on today. So we are doing a rebuild of a keyboard. It's one of my favorite ones. I just wanted to try out a different build for it and some different switches. So we're doing a second build for it. Today was my last day of work for 5 days, I think. I have 5 days off, yeah. It's because I took tomorrow off to use some of my PTO before I lose it. Thanks for the follow, Ed Sparta. How are you doing today? Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. GK61, yeah, there's lots of stuff you can do to it. Some of the biggest improvements is just getting some dielectric grease to lube the stabilizers with. That's one of the best things you can do. I should have grabbed the new batch of Krytox. Ed Sparta, thank you for joining the stream today. Appreciate you stopping by. And then if you like kind of lube the stabilizers, there's a few other mods you can do to the stabilizers. Yeah, no worries, XPL. No worries. Alright, this stuff is... It's dry. So I need to go get... It's empty, so I need to go grab the other batch. I will be right back. Alright. Got a new batch of Krytox today. But yeah, Ace, so you can get like dielectric grease. It's pretty easy to find at either a hardware store or auto parts store. And even just doing that'll make the stabilizers sound pretty good. And then you can get what's called PE foam. And you can cut that up and put that in between the plate and the PCB. That gives it a nice sound too. And then while you're at it, you can put some of the PE foam inside the case as well. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 sets. 1, 2, 3, 2 more. And that should help with a lot of the sound. And then getting or using lubed switches will also help. If the switches you have in it aren't lubed, which if you haven't done any mods to that keyboard, they're probably not lubed switches. That'll also improve the sound. You can either learn to lube the current switches you have in it, or you can just go pick up some already lubed switches. There's a few different websites that you can buy some from. Go here. Go. Those are probably the best mods you can do to GK61. Yeah, that's a pretty easy one. It's pretty easy to do. Let me think if let me show you. I have some stabilizers with legs on them. Let me grab these and show you real quick. So for clipping the legs, try and get the camera to show it well. Essentially, you see that there's 4 legs on here, right? There we go. And you see this one right here and the back right one, they have those little lips to them, little lip part on them. There we go. That one and that one in the back. You have the little lip to them, and they have a lot of space under them. Those are the ones that you can go ahead and clip off because they're pretty much 100% unnecessary. And the other way you can tell which ones they are is they have a ton of space underneath, where the other ones are literally attached to the body of the stem. They have like no space in between. And then, like I said, the ones you clip have like 90% of them are hanging off the edge. It's a useful mod to do to your stabilizers, but also not 100% necessary. It has a minimal improvement on the sound, but it's still something that will help reduce some of the noise. You can also get band-aids to put on the PCB under the stabilizers. You just clip the band-aid to be the size of the space, and when the stabilizer makes contact with the PCB, it will dampen the sound. So it doesn't have a harsh sound when you make contact with the PCB then. Hey, don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask as many questions as you want. I love answering questions on keyboard building because it helps people, turn mediocre sounding keyboards into much better sounding keyboards. So I am always here to answer any keyboard related questions you have. I'm actually going to be doing... I have some beginner keyboard series stuff, but I'm going to be doing a budget build on TikTok soon, just to show people some different mods you can do to budget keyboards to make them sound better, because not everything has to be a super expensive custom keyboard. You can make some of the cheaper budget keyboards sound really good as well. And see, these I haven't used before. This leg right here has quite a bit of space under it. So I almost think you could probably clip that, but I'm not going to because I don't want to risk messing up this stabilizer. I don't think it's going to be worth it, even if it can be clipped on this guy, because the other ones look really short anyway, so I'm just going to leave that guy. This is my first time using these because they're pretty new. They just came out recently to improve on their last gen of stabilizers. Hey XBL, welcome back. So I would stick to pretty standard switches. Alpacas would be probably pretty good. You can look at Alpacas, or even just Gatoron yellows would sound really good on it. I wouldn't go with anything. There's switches that have like a long pole on their stem. I wouldn't go with anything like that because that's going to make a lot of noise, and a plastic case isn't going to sound as good probably with a switch that makes a lot of noise. So I would stick to something like just Gatoron yellows, milky yellows, or the non-milky yellows. Either one's fine. And then, or something like Alpacas would be fine. Those are pretty budget switches that are pretty good. Alpacas are actually what we're using for today's build. If you have Gatoron, the Gatoron yellows already, I would look into a tutorial on how to loop switches. It's pretty easy. And it's cheaper than buying a set of lubed switches if you just learn how to do it and lube those. You can pick up a small vial of Krytox for like $6 probably and look up a few tutorials on how to do it. Because those are honestly a good switch, and they're even used in other, boards as well, not just budget boards. Like, people like putting them in expensive builds too. So they're definitely a good switch, and there's something I would think lubed would sound really good in a budget build like a GK61. So. So milky yellows refers to the top housing of the switch. I mean, it can also refer to the bottom one, but essentially normal Gatoron yellows have a black bottom and a clear top, or a black bottom and black top. The best just Gatoron yellows are the black bottom with the clear top. They're the KS8 variant of them, I believe. That's a little more technical than you probably need, but Milky yellows have a kind of a milky colored top instead of perfectly clear. It's more murky, more milky colored. And that can come in two different ways. You can have it milky top and a black bottom, which is the best version of milky switches, or you can have the milky bottom and milky top. The milky top provides basically a different sound. No, there's also clear, perfectly clear ones. They're not going to be like fake. There's also clear ones. They're just less common. I believe the budget. I had a Keymove Snow Fox, and the Gator on Yellows it came with were, I think they were clear top and black bottom, but I'm not sure. I'd have to check again. I don't remember exactly. On. Let me look at the GK61. Doesn't really show them, but your top Gator on yellow. I've only seen the clear bottom, clear top ones a few times, but no, they're not like fake. They're just, I think those are a worse version of other ones, I think. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with going with something like Rose Reds. They're a good budget switch. The Acco switches are another good budget switch. Definitely. The Rose Reds, I think the Rose Reds would be better than the Radiant Red. The Radiant Red have a long pull. I don't think the Rose Red have a long pull, so those would be good. I put them in a budget board and they sounded pretty good, so can definitely go with those. Alright, so we need a 7U wire, because this is going to be a 7U spacebar. I want to say no, they're not. Anything factory lubed isn't going to be really much better than non-lube switches anyways. Factory lube switches aren't the best. They still have a ton of issues to them. There are a few switches that you can get that aren't terrible with the factory lube. Duroc Lavenders are actually pretty good even if you don't lube those. They have enough lube on them, they're still pretty decent. So if you want something you don't have to lube, look into Duroc Lavenders. They can be pretty decent not lubed. Or not re-lubed, I guess. Not adding lube to it. Because they are somewhat lubed from the factory. But then there's switches like the Aqua Kings that are factory lube, but they're over lubed, heavily over lubed from the factory. So that's one of the problems with getting just factory lube switches, is they can heavily over lube them. Hey XD, I see you over there on the TikTok chat. Not sure if you're still around. I don't pay too much attention to the TikTok chat, but you're not too late. We're just working on the wires right now. Oh, shoot. I was gonna work on, let's see. Let me look at this kit. I think we're gonna use some of the things. I don't think I want to holy mod these ones. So these stabilizers come with a bunch of pads for holy modding them. Holy mod is essentially a mod where you take some pad and you put it inside the stem. I don't think we're gonna do that on these. I think that's the only mod we're not gonna do, just because I want to see how these sound without it. And then the next time I build using my other set, I'll probably do the holy mod with it, just to see how those apply. I totally forgot about these coming with that, because normally stabilizers don't come with kits to mod them, but these ones, they want to include some stuff for modding, so you don't have to go out and get different materials, which is kind of cool. Because most people just use band-aids for dampening sound on the PCB and for holy mod, or they use leftover sticky pieces from the switch film pads. And then there's some companies that do make some stabilizer called stab pads. They go on the PCB to dampen the sound of the stabilizer hitting the PCB. I use the stab pads mostly, but lately I've just been using what comes with switch film packages. But yeah, I totally forgot. It's part of the thing I wanted to review on these, is how those mod packs makes a difference on the mods. Totally forgot to start doing that, but didn't want to do the holy mod anyways, so I want to do this one without, because I typically don't do a holy mod on my stabilizers, so that should be good. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, like I said, a holy mod is basically taking usually done with a band-aid, and inside the stem there's the hole where the wire goes. You put the piece of band-aid in there to kind of lessen the amount of wiggle room that the stem has, or that the wire has inside the stem, and help reduce some of the noise of the wire moving around inside the stem hole. But again, I typically don't do that mod because it's not super time effective in my opinion. It doesn't do much, especially on the Duroc V2 screw-in stabilizers, which is pretty much what I use. Other stabilizers, it's more effective, but I've never needed to do them on Duroc V2s. I've always got great sounding, no ticking out of my stabilizers without it, so. That should be good. I already had one of these stabilizers lubed from when I did some initial testing with these stabilizers, so we do have one less to lube, which is kind of nice, but I am taking a little more time so I can be a little more careful with how well I lube these, just because I want to try and lube them really, really well to give an accurate review of them. Especially because lubing the stabilizer and the stabilizer wire especially is the most important mod you can do to stabilizers, so I definitely want to try and take my time doing this. Saves me time in the long run too, because when I test it, if it doesn't sound right, I have to take the stabilizer off to retouch it up. That just takes more time. Hey Ipfaffy, how are you doing? How's it going today? Thank you for the follow. I'm excited to work on that keyboard build for you soon. Glad you're able to stop by for a bit. Hey Zanyard, how are you doing? Hope you are having a fantastic Wednesday. We are just here doing a rebuild of my Primus, so glad you're able to stop by. Just want to change up the switches. I have a second PCB for it, so it's not as much of a rebuild as it is a new build, just in the same case I already have a build in. So, but yeah, I just want to put some different switches in. I got some Alpacas I want to try, so. And then for sure, I'm going to be desoldering the current build that's in it at some point, because the stabilizers need to be redone. They're not very good on that build. It's one of my earlier builds where I was still learning to tune and lube stabilizers well. So they definitely have some ticking. And I was also using dielectric grease. Now I use this Krytox XHT, which is so much better. It lasts longer. I don't really have a daily driver, actually. I keep them kind of in a rotation. It's definitely my favorite keyboard. But I pretty much keep my keyboards in a rotation. I switch them out kind of every week. Except for my work keyboard tends to not change too often because the USB-C cord I have for it's not very good and doesn't fit some of my keyboards because it has a very fat end on it. And some of my keyboards have kind of a... the USB-C port's kind of set in a little bit, so it doesn't actually fit. So I do need to get a new cord for my work computer, but I pretty much have 1 or 2 keyboards I use for my work computer. So my personal computer, like I said, I try and change my keyboard up probably every week. Yeah, I kind of like it. So I'm a software engineer, and most my since my work keyboard stays pretty much the same between 1 or 2 different boards, it's not too bad. Plus, I try and stick to a board that has arrows and the delete and insert key just because it makes life a little easier having those. So I don't use anything below a 65% keyboard for work. I could, but it's convenient when doing coding to have those arrow keys. And quick access to them too, and not having to, do like a... Come on. Not do a function row, a different layer. Yeah, I get what you're saying. When you're trying to do like work, sometimes it's just nice not to have to worry about the layers, and just to be able to, just push the button you want and have it just there readily available. When you're trying to be productive in work and crap, so yep. When I'm gaming, I prefer the smaller-ish keyboards just to save a little space. Oh, I don't even have the PCB in here. That's what I forgot to grab. I didn't even bring the plate or PCB in here. Alright. I will be back in a few minutes. Hang out and listen to some music. I have to go get the plate and PCB. I left that in my keyboard stash. So I will be right back. Like 2 minutes. Like I said, nice and quick. So we'll set this aside that right now. All right. That should be the right size. But yeah, like I was saying, yeah, I totally agree. It's just nice to have the keys readily available so you don't have to worry about your different layers and stuff like that. For gaming and stuff, as long as I have, WASD, shift, number keys, I'm pretty much good to go. Okay, so let's get... So these are some dampening pads. I don't know why they put this circle there. To take that off to get screws in, so it's kind of silly to make that sticky. Okay, so we're gonna start with, I think that should be probably a fine thickness. We don't need it to be super. Okay. I've seen the Moonlander. I haven't used one. It's a very interesting looking keyboard. And no, these alpacas are not filmed, actually. I did not, these are not done by me. I actually purchased these alpacas from someone I know on TikTok. So. Do not like that the edges are sticky like that. We just put it on there and make the screws taken off me. So these are actually not even lubed or filmed by me. So they're definitely not filmed, but I think alpacas can get away without being filmed. They sound pretty alright without film. Yeah, Ace, so that has happened to me before, but you should always test, especially when you're doing like a full custom build like this, you should always test the PCB before you do the build. I didn't test this one yet on stream because I tested it when I got it. Since I bought it from someone else and not the manufacturer of the keyboard. When it arrived, I tested it myself. Actually, it does look like a different size, I'm curious. Is that? I think there's a smaller and a bigger side. Should probably. Yeah. Make sure I put those on the right side just to be safe. That one's not. That's okay. But yeah, you should always test a PCB before you do a build, just for that specific reason, because if the PCB doesn't work, you can get a replacement for it. But if you've done work on it, soldered it, and it doesn't work, then you're kind of SOL, you know? So the first step is usually testing it, but since I have tested this outside of the stream, I'm not worried about it not working. Let me look into them a little bit and I'll give you an opinion on it. The film is mostly done based on the tolerance of the housing. Most films honestly most switches do get filmed. There's very few that I've seen that shouldn't be filmed. Box switches are 50-50 on whether people film them, and then novelty creams don't get filmed because they have such a tight housing tolerance. But I don't know anything about those switches. I actually hadn't seen them until you showed them to me, just because, like I said, I'm not a big tactile switch user. But honestly, filming isn't 100% necessary. It's, if you lube switches, it's at least better than not lubing them. Filming makes a very minute difference, to be perfectly honest. That one came off without the things. Yeah, you're talking with the spring weight, right? That's why you like the bigger, higher spring weight. You break a bottle? Sounds like you did. Oh, no, come on. It's not the right one. Shoot. That was gonna happen. It's okay. Comes with extra ones. It's the wrong stabilizer spot. We'll just pull this off real quick. I mean, so the extended stem pull, I don't really think adds like resistance to it much. It's just a different sound and feel, I think, but maybe it does. I don't know. I use the extended I use a ton of switches with the extended stem pulls because I really like the way they sound and feel. Yeah, people would probably not like your clicky switches in meetings. That's definitely for sure. That would definitely drive a lot of people crazy. I used to have a clicky keyboard and people would always ask me to mute myself during meetings if I wasn't talking. If I was like active in the meeting, if I wasn't talking, they were like, mute yourself until you do have to actually speak. It's like, yeah, I need to change this keyboard. I can't use clicky switches. I was. I only used that keyboard for about a week and then I got a different keyboard. Well, I only used that keyboard if I wanted to annoy my wife. I'll rephrase. I didn't annoy work people with it. I annoyed my wife with it still after getting a new keyboard, but I really prefer gasket mount. 100% I like gasket mounts. Top mounts are probably my second favorite. But I definitely like gasket mounted keyboards. I'm super excited to try to build the Thera for you because of the plateless build. That's super exciting because I've always wanted to try out a plateless build. There's not very many of them. There's not many keyboards that can do plateless builds. Going in an angle. Yeah, I don't know. That's super awesome. Oh yeah, I've seen that. Those flex panels on a PCB are super awesome. It gives so much flex. Isn't the... So I'm trying... I've only looked at into the Thera a little bit and looked at the links you sent me, but not too in depth. Doesn't the Thera PCB have quite a bit of flex to it as well, or isn't it supposed to? Go. Bottom. Yeah. Yep. Yes, I thought it had a few flex cuts in it. Honestly, PCBs with those flex cuts are super nice. The Jelly Epoch I have has flex. Those have flex cuts in the PCB, and you can really feel it. It's super nice. And then that's one of the things I like about gasket mount keyboards is the amount of flex that helps provide. I will say I'm not super into the flex. I like a bit of flex, but I'm not a huge fan of like polycarbonate plates that people like. Even though I'm using one for this build, it's just because it's the only plate I have as a second plate for this. But yeah, the jellies are really expensive. I was lucky and was able to buy a special edition one for a sale they had not too long ago. It's silver with a blue weight. I was super lucky to be able to get in because there's only 100 of those made. I think these should go on before. We'll see if we can put them on with the wire still there. We'll see. I am just crapping the bucket today. I keep forgetting I want to use these different mods that this thing came with. Just shitting the bucket today. Oh. See if this can go in. Wire on. Yeah. Get it on there with the wire there. Cool. Still get this stuff on there. Cool. Yeah. Oh, trust me, I get it. I'm lucky enough that I have been able to get every keyboard item I've purchased at retail cost. So it's not the board that comes with it, it's the stabilizers that come with it. This pack of stabilizers comes with a whole mod kit. There we go. So it's these Equalz V3 stabilizers. They come with 3 different thicknesses for pads for under the stabilizer for the dampening. They come with some strips for doing what's called the Holy mod. I don't know if you're familiar with that. And then they come with these pads for under the wire to reduce the sound of the wire possibly hitting the PCB. we're gonna put 2 under this one at least. And so I'm trying to... Okay. Yeah, so I'm trying to use as many of the mods that this thing came with, except for the Holy mod on this one, just because I don't typically do the Holy mod anyways. So I want to be able to give like a full review of this set of stabilizers after I'm done with this build. Because they're pretty new. I think they just came out. The V3 of these just came out a month or so ago. I think we'll put a third one on in the middle as well, since the spacebar is so long. That should be fine. Yeah. Okay. So we got the stabilizer wire pads on. Got the stabilizers on. So let's go ahead and get our foam. That's tough for me. Honestly, I feel like the Jelly Epoch is probably an end game board for me. That doesn't mean I'm gonna stop building, because I love building keyboards, but I feel like the Jelly's probably an end game board for sure. It's just super good. It's so good sounding. But then every day I see a new board and I'm just like, God, this thing's amazing looking. Oh, I want this. Oh, I want this one. You know, it's the tough part about it. But the only other board I would consider an endgame board for me is the 7V. Because that thing is so nice. Alright, let's preload a few switches into this plate just to help out with this, because we are not using any plate foam, because I don't have a second set of plate foam for this build. So we need to try and preload a few switches into this. But I built a 7V for someone last month, I think it was last month. And that board is just so beautiful. It's also one of the boards I know of that you can do plateless builds on, which is another awesome thing about that board. Should. Okay. I might have preloaded with too many switches. I need to preload with less switches. Yeah, the 7V's very expensive. It's crazy expensive. It's a very sought after board, but it's also crazy expensive. Yeah, I think we're gonna preload with a few less switches, especially those middle ones. I think that's what's really becoming a pain. It's the one thing I don't like about when using a plate and not building with plate foam is it becomes difficult to make sure the plate is flush in, or the switches sit flush in the plate without dragging too far down. I have not used one because of how expensive that thing is, but it's also a beautiful looking board. That's for sure. Go. Should get seated all the way since this stuff is almost too thick. Should undo this one real quick because I think to pull this foam down just a little bit. Should be fine. That's a good question. I don't know if it's necessary for a plateless build to have foam between the PCB and switches. I don't think you would. I really don't. I'm sitting here trying to think, and I think it's going to be more of an issue for the sound, because essentially the switches are gonna, or the keycaps are almost going to be hitting the foam in some instances, or come close to hitting the foam. So I don't think you need that for that one. Yeah, I think that could be an issue. I think it's not necessary. Is the board supposed to come with that foam? Because if it doesn't come with it, I don't think we would want to use it. And even if it did come with it, I still think without foam is the better option, personally. Because just from a standpoint of thinking about it, I don't think the foam's going to do very much good. Okay. Let me throw a switch or two in the middle here. Help hold the plate up. Go. There we go. Let me do some looking into what people have done with their builds, and we'll see if anyone's put foam on it, because to me it doesn't seem like a plateless build you would want plate foam, or the plate foam, because there's no plate, right? And that's generally what that foam is there for, to help the sound of the plate not be so crazy, help dampen some of that plate sound, really. So just to me, it seems like since it's plateless, we're not going to need that. But it's something we'll want to check on for sure. Maybe look at a few builds online to see what people have done, used. But like I said, my inclination is not needing any plate foam since we don't have a plate. But also, if you used plate foam, I feel like it would be very loose inside the board, because typically plate foam has cutouts for the switches. So theoretically, the switches would just come up off over the switches anyways. That's the other thing about that, I think. Don't have any plate foam on. I don't have any like plate foam hanging around to show what I'm trying to say, but the left side of this shift. Left side of the shift a little tick. Right side of the spacebar here. Enter sounds good. Yeah, no problems. Thank you for stopping by. Glad you're able to stop by and kind of hang out, chat a little bit. Definitely stop by whenever you have a chance and I'm streaming. Hopefully we'll be able to do your build soon when the parts get in. So, other than that, have a happy holidays too. It's not a major tick on the right side. I definitely hear a slight tick. Definitely a slight tick. So we're gonna just throw a little bit extra on there. Definitely a tight fit on the stabilizer stem for the keycap, but let's grab a little brush here. Throw a little bit extra onto these guys on the right side here. We're in there. And on this guy. Come on. Yeah. It's definitely a somewhat tight fit on the keycap. Not bad. Tight fit's not bad. But around. So we can plug the butt of the left stabilizer. So we'll plug this guy's butt. But go and plug the butt of the other side too, just to be on, just to try and keep it even. You can see yourself on there. I don't pay attention to the TikTok chat. I can see like your hands, that's about it. Okay, that should be good. Let me double check the other two just to make sure while we're doing this. Let's do this one, the backspace as well, I think, while we're here. Because that had a little bit, that was probably the one I did a long time ago, but a while ago, so it sat for a hot minute. That was the right side. Put this guy's butt all over here. Alright. Enter was perfect. I also hit a little on the right or left side of this guy. So we threw some on the right. We should also throw some on the left just to try and make sure we keep it as possible too. Not only do we not want ticking, but we want them. So pretty important. There we go. All right. So we are good there. We'll take her out. Work on making sure we're pushing these seated all the way. Issues. Since it's not pulled all the way down, I don't think it's gonna create an issue. I might want to trim some of this foam here. See if I have my desk. I have scissors here to trim a little of that foam. Yeah. Trim a little of this stuff just to make sure it doesn't interfere with the gasket. That should be good. Didn't need a lot of trim, just give it a little bit. It shouldn't really interfere with the gasket because it's just thin, pliable foam, but it doesn't hurt to make sure. By trimming it up a little. putting the switches into this build is going to be a little more time consuming because I need to make sure we get it pushed all the way through this PE foam that we're using. So we're going to spend a little more time making sure these switches get seated fully. And it also is going to make it easier to make sure this plate's switches are seated in the plate correctly too. Not planning to do a Tempest mod on this, but we'll see how it sounds and go from there. If it sounds like it could use a Tempest mod, we will probably do one. Might do it off stream if I feel like it's not 100% necessary. So we'll definitely see what it sounds like after the build. I completely go. Also make sure while I'm doing this none of the switch pins get bent. Do the edges, which will help provide a nice firm setup for the plate so the plate doesn't move too much throughout the seating of the rest of the switches. But seem to be doing pretty good. Since it's a polycarb plate, it's pretty easy to move the plate around to make sure they get seated correctly, the switches do. That is one of the nice things about a polycarb plate. Sorry, I'm not talking a whole lot. Stream. I'm trying to focus on making sure these switches get fully seated. SP foam there. Nothing we want. Be no fun to have a uneven keys. So that's what I'm trying to make sure we avoid. If each switch isn't fully seated, we could get some uneven keys, which would not be fun. I like step caps lock, so we'll go with step caps lock. Go. Perfect. All right, getting there with the amount of switches we put in. We're going to do our second bag of alpacas here soon. This is theoretically easier if you pre-punch the holes for the switches to go through the PE foam. But I feel like that takes too much time and I didn't really want to spend the time pre-punching the holes. I feel like since you can get oh, that's the problem. This one needs 2. Just let me get that out. Switch itself is partially open, it looks like. There we go. The switch itself was partially open, that was the issue. Sometimes a switch cannot close all. Sometimes you get a switch that's not closed all the way. It doesn't sit right inside of the plate. That's all that happened there. Alright, get my second bag of alpaca. This one's also got some random kiwis in here, because the person that sent me these alpacas also sent me some extra kiwis just to try, just to try out. These are alpacas. I've tested them out a little bit just to see how well they were lubed, because they were lubed by someone else. But this is really my first time doing an actual build with alpacas. So I'm somewhat excited because I've wanted to try these for a while. This is a switch I've wanted for, like I said, quite a while. I want to try them out. I just haven't gotten around to picking them up before. And lately I've had too many switches to lube. So instead of picking up stock ones and lubing them myself, I had someone from TikTok lube them for me. Yeah, they're a pretty popular switch, I feel like. I know they used to be super popular for a while, and then there's so many switches these days that anything, is hard to be popular for too long, but they're a pretty popular switch. Part of that's because they're a relatively cheap switch to get. They're not super expensive. And then they sound really good. Even though they're cheap, they're still really good. Okay. That there. So that means just label them. Just curious. No, it doesn't. Oh. So that should go not there. It should go there. Yeah, that'll be there for the small right shift. And let's see. So then this is where it always gets dicey for me. To make sure we put switches into the correct spots before we solder things in. I believe this will go there. And I believe this one goes inside. We're gonna double check it before we solder by putting spacebar on-ish. I'm not gonna put it on fully. kind of seat it a little bit. Going to grab the mods that go there to make sure we have the right space. Oh, that's too much space. Too much space. So those switches need to move definitely. Number one. There. There we go, that's right. And we'll move this guy over as well. Yep, that looks right. Perfect. And that one. So that's the same size. Put there. That's right. Cool. Let's keep the F's out. We're gonna use it anyways. Alright. Make sure no pins are bent. Make sure all the switches look seated right. Good. These ones are definitely not seated as well as they could be on the bottom. That's just because of the lack of switches to hold them in. Work on that one. Solder. Oh, the rest look good to me. Everything else looks well seated. Yeah, cool. I think that means it's time to start soldering. Get a few things up over here. I like to keep this foam under the PCB while I'm soldering. Alright, I will be back in about 5 minutes. I am going to get my soldering equipment. so that we can get to soldering. So hang out to the music for a few and I shall be right back. All right. I have plugged in all my soldering equipment. I'm just going to do the final touches and get a few pieces of equipment out. Soldering iron, the most important part. Alright, turn the fan on. And then I'm going to also move my mic a little bit. I found that this helps me solder a little better while on... There you go, while on stream if I have my mic up so it's not in my way. Alright, go. Solder. Perfect. So I want to start with kind of this bottom row. We were gonna do this. Get to 340. The way I want to do the bottom rows, we're gonna do the first switch. One pin. Like that. And from the bottom, there we go. Reheat it, push it all the way up. Yeah, there we go, perfect. So that's how we're gonna do this bottom row. So that we make sure everything's seated well. We'll do one pin. And we'll reheat the pin and push it in. Yeah. So it should be seated all the way now. Like I said, it's really just going to be for this bottom row. So I want to make sure it gets seated all the way. Excuse me. Thankfully, it doesn't look like this PE foam is flammable. That's nice. I did just melt a little bit of it, so it's super nice. Hey Sleepy, thank you for the raid. How are you doing? Appreciate the raid. Startled me for a second there, but that's okay. For the people that may have raided with Sleepy Bison, I am Regoli Keebs. I am a keyboard streamer We are currently doing a custom keyboard build. I am rebuilding a Primus keyboard. And I'm using switches actually purchased from Sleepy Bison, so. They are Alpaca switches. Good. Go. Should be good. Oh, it looks seated all the way, so we shouldn't need to do that with this guy. The corners were seated pretty well. Yeah, it all looks pretty good. Alright. I think we can get into just our normal soldering because everything else is seated really well. I didn't see any other issues with how the switches are seated. It's just that bottom row was a little trickier, so now we can just do our straight normal soldering. That's good. I like to check in on my soldering job every once in a while to make sure things are looking good. We're not putting too much solder in there. Normally this board has LED indicators that we can solder on right here. There's 3 of them. I felt loose. Normally there's 3 LED indicators we can solder onto here, but this build kit only comes with 3, and they're on the other PCB, so I won't be putting any onto this one. Not a big deal. I don't really pay attention to the indicator lights anyways, but that's why we are not doing those. for anyone that was wondering. Solder's really popping today, jeez. Some days I don't get any solder pop onto my hand. Some days I get it like every 5 switches. So, just depends on the day, I guess. Solder's really popping today, though. Yeah. It doesn't really like hurt when it does it. It's just more annoying than anything, honestly. Alright. Another road done. 3 more to go. I already got the bottom road done. Top minute seconds, so. Look all the way, see. There we go. Come on. The rest of those are fine. That one just wasn't all the way seated. So I double check when we get to the row to make sure they're all seated. It's always worth double checking, especially because we're using this PE foam, and some of the switches were a little more difficult to seat because of the PE foam, because of the custom PE foam. It's a little thicker than I'd like. Typically PE foam's a little thinner. You like to use as thin as possible. The PE foam that comes with the Jelly Epoch and the Mr. Suit is pretty thin stuff. So, jeez. There we go. That should be a little better with the mic. It was probably sounded a little quiet because it was a little far from my mouth. Get a little closer. Really? Those are 2 bent pins, and I swear I double checked. It's okay. Easily miss a bent pin. Yeah, other side. Desolder this guy real quick. It's all the way desoldered. That one are both bent. So grab our tweezers and just bend them back. Sometimes you miss a bent pin or two when you're looking through them, so it's not really a big deal. Just, I like to try and catch it before I start the soldering on that specific switch, but meh. Not the end of the world either way. Ooh, that one just does not want to stay straight, so we might just grab a new switch, honestly. And again, try to strain it one more time. Some switches can definitely be a little more stubborn than others to straighten after bending, but let's just grab a new one. This one another time. This is also why you always carry extras, just in case you get a stubborn pin and don't want to fix it while you're building. You just grab a new switch. Voila. Problem solved. That one in there. Perfect. There we go. Problem solved. Back to soldering we go. Yo, Creamy, I just saw the little crown there. Thank you for the little crown there. Appreciate it over on TikTok. Hope you're having a good day, Creamy. I don't know if you're still around. Especially when I'm soldering, but I don't tend to pay too much attention to the TikTok chat. Really mostly active on the Twitch chat. Especially when I'm soldering, because there's just too many other things to be paying attention to. But Oh, so there's some new keycaps that I don't know if anyone's seen them, but there's some new keycaps, novel keys, just dropped, I think today. They all look super, super good. I think the standout is they worked with the designer of GMK Taro to make a PBT version of Taro, which looks really good. Because GMK Taro is a very nice looking set. Come on. Having a rough time here. Okay. And they had two other PBT sets as well that look pretty good. PBT Sand and forget the other one. Sand looks really good. The other one was alright. I think the real standout's honestly the PBT Taro, because that's just so good looking. Plus it's only 95 bucks compared to like probably 300 or so for GMK Taro. I don't know what that goes for these days on the aftermarket, but pretty crazy. But 95 for essentially the full base kit of GMK Taro, some accents and some novelties is pretty good. Yeah, PBT Taro is definitely something I'm looking at getting. It's super, the keycap set looks super good. I think it'd fit one of my boards really, really well. I have a lilac colored board that would look super good on. But and then there are other keycaps that, like I said, PBT Sand. That one looked really good too. It looks just like sand. Like they color matched sand really well. And then it has some good looking accents to it. But they've been teasing some keycap sets for a while, for like 5-6 months or so. I'm glad to see they're finally out. Definitely reasonable prices. Definitely reasonable. They're under the price of Infinity keycaps. And then they're a little higher than Kinetic Labs Polycaps, but they're right around... Oh man, that one's bent too, isn't it? Yep. They're right around the pricing of... Canon Keys Nice PBT. So definitely good prices. Yep. Yeah, it really does. It's really good looking. I think they did fantastic with those keycap sets. I don't remember the third one. It was out of all of them, it was the most underwhelming one, and it still looked good. It's not underwhelming because it looked bad. It was okay looking, and the other two are just great looking. So definitely improving the in-stock keycap game a little bit, which is super nice. Always want to have good in-stock keycap sets. With how bad GMK sets are to get lately. The wait times on those GMK group buys are getting bad, and then aftermarket prices are just still pretty bad. I could throw a little more on this guy. Make sure that one flows well, but that looks like all of the switches. Sorry for the shaking. Yeah, it really can. Aftermarket can be super rough. So it's nice to have some good in-stock keycap options. I feel like I do pretty good on the aftermarket, but registered. Yeah. Spacebar. 7U. Perfect. Key tester. I know. I hate group buys, honestly, and I hate the waiting. I don't join too many group buys, actually. Most of my purchases tend to be aftermarket purchases. I'm just able to do pretty well on the aftermarket, thankfully. I have a pretty firm personality on things, so I don't end up really ever having to pay the aftermarket cost of keycaps. Yeah, everything's good. Perfect. So, no issues with the soldering job. It's a lot of work to not pay aftermarket on stuff, but there we go. I've only bought one thing at aftermarket price, and then it sold it probably a couple months later for what I paid for it. So, all right, I need to go wash my hands. After soldering, it's always good to wash your hands. So I will be back in about 5 minutes, and we'll finish up the build. Alright, I'm all washed up and back. I went ahead and grabbed the keyboard while I was up. GMK Striker? I do not have GMK Striker. GMK Striker looks really good. But it is not a keycap set that I have. Yeah, so we're going to be using Dracula for this build. I need to move the mic a little bit just so I can see all our screens are. There, up there, up there. Yeah, so like I said, yeah, we are using Dracula for this build, which I'm super excited to use because it looks really good. How many keyboards do I have? 1, 2, 3, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then my wife has 2. Okay, how many are 60%? How many are 60%? My wife has 260%. I have a okay, so technically I have an 8th keyboard and a 9. I have 9 keyboards. 8 and 9 aren't built. So that's why I didn't necessarily count them. And out of the keyboards I have, my wife has 260% and I have 1 unbuilt 60%. Not the hugest fan of 60% because I do like having my arrows. Both my wife's 60% keyboards have the arrow cluster in them. So yeah, my wife's first keyboard I built for my wife was a Tofu. And I have put the Gatoron hippos in that. It's built with a brass plate. And custom cut case foam. It was the first full custom keyboard I built was the one for my wife, the Tofu 60 for her. It's actually my first like full custom keyboard. I'd worked on a few smaller a few budget 60%, but they were all like kits, you know. You got the whole keyboard and case and everything. Keycaps, keyboard, switches, all that. So the first like full custom board I built was the Tofu 60 for her. And then the same weekend, like the next day, I built the NK65 entry edition for myself. Yeah, I know what the Brutal 60 is. It's Canon Keys 60% keyboard. It's their they have the whole like Brutalist series line of keyboards. I just built the Savage 65 as a commission build for someone this last weekend. Brutal 60 looks nice. The Savage 65 commission was the black one. And we put NK creams in it, and then just some black on white keycaps from Amazon. Alright, all these screws are gone. Should allow us to remove the top. There we go. Top is removed. Side. Actually, doesn't matter because I know it will fit, but this one. Yeah. See, perfect. Excellent. Let's just make sure the spaces I left for the holes were correct, and they are. Alright, so now we pull this guy out. This is the build that was in it. It's a red alu plate. There we go. Oh yeah, I can see why it would remind you of Banana Split Switch. Just this is the Cat Cafe Deskmat from TheKey.Company. Yeah, I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I'm not sure they would sound that bad on a GK61. I think it would sound all right, but I definitely think there's better switches for a GK61. So that I will say for sure. I should be able to poke through. Actually, let's do that before we place this one. Let's make sure we poke a hole through those spots so we can get the this through without issues. Go, perfect. So this is really a really weird constructed case. It has these little holes right here that you have to screw some screws in. So since I put this PE foam in there custom cut, I had to make sure I have holes broken through so I can get the weight on, basically. So, I mean, a metal case is theoretically always going to sound better than the plastic cases, but I still think creams would be alright in a GK61. I haven't tested creams in a plastic case, but they don't have a loud bottom out sound really, so I still think they would be fine. I mean, yes, since this is an aluminum case, it is going to sound better. It's also, if I'm 90% sure it's the one you're talking about, it's a custom keyboard built by Teja. if it's that one, and that is commissioned by Keycaps, who is some of the like craziest, best sounding cases you can get. They're super expensive. If it's that board that he has that you're talking about with creams, I don't know if that one has creams, but yeah, that was made by Tejas, so that's definitely going to sound better. It's going to sound better than any board I own for sure. So, but cutting the foam's pretty easy. Just like get some foam. Like, are you talking just the PE foam? Because basically you're just gonna want to get the foam, cut it the size of the PCB, just like lay the PCB on it. You can trace it with a marker or just cut directly around the PCB, and then that's really all you have to do with a GK61. You don't have to cut out a space for the stabilizers like I did on this, because the stabilizers on that are plate mount anyways, so you don't have to worry about them being in the way or anything. So for a GK61, it should be super easy. Just basically cut the size of the PCB and you're done. If you're talking about PE foam, should be really easy. Theoretically, you can you could poke holes in it as well to make putting the switches in a little easier, but it's not super necessary. Yeah, let me send you an Amazon link. Let me find it in a second once I get... Actually, let me get this keyboard put together and I'll remember to send to you. That way I have a keyboard to type with. But if you look up PE foam on Amazon, you should see a pretty good one. I got mine at Lowe's. They had a big roll at Lowe's for like $15 that I got. I could probably build like 500 keyboards with how much PE foam I have. Okay, there we go. Now let's get this weight back on. Put it this way. Gonna get some fingerprints on it, but that's okay. But yeah, if you search PE foam on Amazon, you should find it. If you can't find a good one, let me get this finished putting back together and I will send you, do a quick search and send you the one I know of that people typically get and use. The one that people use from Amazon, no, it's not a fire hazard. You'll be fine with it. Let me just plug this in and search it real quick. And no, you're not spamming chat at all. You're good, bro. You're perfectly fine. Should be. Should be this one. I think. Let me double check on the Reddit. Should be this one. It's because I have the keys memorized. I touch type. I don't have to look at the keyboard to type. It's a little difficult for the space bar because you have to hit the exact spawn instead of anywhere on the thing. But yeah, it's just because I type all day, every day. So. That looks a little off. Should always fix it another time. Doesn't look terribly tilted. I always forget to check on that. Make sure things aren't too tilted. Perfect. Ooh. Yeah, you can. I like for the bottom of the keyboard, I like using EVA foam. I just went to Michael's, I think, and got EVA foam. No, yes, Michael's. What's in Fair Oaks? The one next, the store next to. No, what is the store next? Oh, next. That's Mike. That's where I got you. Huh? For the bottom, I like EVA foam more than something like PE foam, but you can use PE foam. There's nothing wrong with PE foam for the bottom. It'll work. EVA foam is just a little thicker and provides a little better dampening. That's what I did for my wife's tofu. Is I custom cut EVA foam for that. Stepped caps. Yeah, these things look so good. I love the different colors on it. It's just, this is so good. I'm super excited to use these. I've had these sitting here for like, ooh, I got these like 2 months ago, at least. I swear I've had these for like 2 months just sitting around. Waiting till I had time to rebuild this. I really like the lighter gray color that they used. This light gray alphas they use. It's almost like a blue gray, right? Almost looks like a blue gray. It's a super good color. It's like a blue gray, I think, because navy's a little darker than this. I don't know if it's coming up more navy on camera. That could just be it. Could just be coming up more navy on the cam. And but I think it's a little closer to like a blue gray color. Definitely got some hints of blue to it, which I really like. Let me get I don't like the scooped ones. I like these ones. I don't know why. I'm just not a fan of the scooped keys as much as I am the ones with the little bar. The homing bar. It's definitely a little louder than I want. Just, it's not bad loud. Without any plate foam, definitely has a little bit louder of a sound to it. There's a little less dampening there, but I still think it sounds good. Does this come with a dark pipe slash? Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Go for it. You can just send. You can go ahead and send the link now. Yeah. Don't have to wait till I'm done with the build. Go for it. I appreciate you asking. I think we'll go. It's a tough decision. I actually like the Alpha's color so much. Actually, I'm gonna go with the pipe slash key that matches the Alphas because I love this Alpha's color so much. Normally, I use the pipe slash that matches the color of the mods, but these Alphas are just so well colored. I have to use it. Oh, nice. Yeah, go ahead and send it. Let's see what this is. Let's see what it is. Foam boards. There's no details about it. I don't think you want this. I think this is too thick, to be honest. It's like thick and stiff, I think. It's really stiff. You don't want stiff foam for the case. Let me this. We're plugged in. There we go. Yeah, something like that's going to be too stiff, I think, and you really don't want something super stiff like that. Cable is being bent really hard. So this is a little. This is about $15 for a full roll of it, which is a lot of foam. But you can use that. That's what I got, and should be able to do. Yeah, you should be able to use that. Something like that's what I got for my case foam usages. But if you just want to get PE foam to put between the plate and the PCB, and just want to use that for the case too, you can. It's perfectly viable for the case as well. It might be, if you use something like PE foam, you might want to do 2 layers for the case, just because it's a little thinner. It again, depends on how much room you have in the case. But yeah, if you're gonna use PE foam, you might want to do like a double layer or something like that. Hey, thanks for the follow, XD. Likes cookies. I like the name. Yeah, spacebar sounds good. Yes, these are from Sleepy. Arrows. I don't remember off the top of my head. That is something I do not remember. Let me just check the layout. And you would have to check his website. Because I don't remember off the top of my head. Down. Don't know if that's the right profile. Delete. In case that wasn't the right profile, we'll grab that. And that should be the right one. Should be that one. Good. Definitely not the right end. This guy, maybe this one. Yeah, I got 90 of them. That way I could use them for a 75% build. that one either. Just use that one and call it good for that one because I don't feel like looking for the other end. We need a page down. It's not this one. That one's tall. Might be this one. Have that one here. What do you mean? That's the same thing. I'm having trouble finding the right page down. That was the right one, I think. Wasn't it? I already determined that was the right page down, I think. Put that back. It's not the right page down. It'll work. I'm not gonna keep looking for the page down. So let me think. GPL 205 grade 0 Crytox. Crytox is GPL Crytox 205 grade 0. That's the same. Should be. Those should be the exact same thing. Throw a little more on the right side of the space bar. Yeah, those are the same. It's not that they're not different. That's the same exact thing, if that makes sense. When you say GPL 205, that is Crytox. I'm like 99% sure. Don't quote me though. But because Crytox is the only one that does that 205 grade 0, grade whatever stuff. Just to be consistent. Yeah, I get you. That GPL, that's just another way to reference Crytox. So that is Crytox. Lube it. Lube your spacebar, Ace. That's what you can do to remove the rattle. You put lube on the stem and housing, and then especially the wire. The wire lube is where you remove all that rattle. Perfect. There we go. That's what sound I wanted to hear. But yeah, lube it. Lube your stabilizers. That's how you get rid of all the rattling. If you'll listen, we'll listen to the stabilizers on here. I lube them, so there's going to be zero rattle to them. Alright, I'm going to turn off my noise gate, so you're going to hear a little bit of background noise from just like my computer. Because I'm turning off the noise gate, so there will be a little background noise. So do you hear that spacebar? There's no rattle to it because I lubed it. Alright, let's do a little typing test. Thank you, Ed. I think it sounds pretty good too. Let me get this plugged in. And we will do a quick typing test. All right, we're going to do I'm going to do a couple quick warm-ups on the monkey type before we get into a minute-long test. Keyboard ASMR for sleeping. Yeah. All right, let's do a 1-minute test. I type all day, every day programming, so I've gotten pretty efficient at typing. Listen to the mods and stabilizers. Still feel like stabilizer needs a little bit more, I think. Still sounds pretty good though. Does that spacebar sound good? It feels like the left side has just a little tick to it, it feels like to me. Maybe that's the right side. No, it's the left side. Can hear just a little bit. But other than that, I mean, I think they're pretty good. Thank you, Ed. I think they are pretty good. Everything else is good. The right side of this, just the left side, has the slightest tick. It's not a ton, but it's enough to annoy me. Let me get my mic fixed here. There we go. It's not a ton of ticking, but it is enough to annoy the heck out of me. So I definitely will probably get that a little more done, a little more lube thrown on there at some point. I don't think it's pressing. It's not unusable. Just needs just a touch more on the left side. So I'll probably tune it later. But let me turn the music back up. So Ace, was there something you said you wanted to ask? Recommendations on something, I assumed. I'll turn a few things off real quick. So we can get a shot of the keyboard for the VOD. Go. All right. Cool. So you guys are looking for... I like switch lubing stations. So you're looking for lube, switch opener, lube bundle. So let's see. I don't like my switch lubing station, so I'm not going to recommend mine. But let's see. This doesn't say what lube it comes with. So if you just want a switch opener, let me send you a link to the one I have. Kit. So for one, if you ever have questions on what gear I have, this is also my bio, but you can check this link out. It has all my keyboard modding gear, all of that stuff I use. And this is the switch opener I have. I don't know if you want to get a lube and switch opener bundle. Let me check. Let me check what they have. So the only problem with that is the switch openers those typically come with aren't very good. That's one of the bigger problems. Like here, let me just create a browser source real quick and we'll browse this together. Display capture. No, cancel that. Not display. I want window capture. Okay, so like the problem with these bundles here is these switch openers suck. They're bad. The thing I hate most about them is the edge prongs right there. They basically, when you push the switch in, your switch will get stuck on those two end prongs, and I don't like it. I've had tons of issues with switch openers like this. Plus, there are switches that won't open. That'll open anything that's a cherry style switch, but there are not cherry style switch. I don't know what they call those, the 4-prong. I think there's a specific name. I can't remember though. But there are switches that have just 2 long bars on the side that these won't open as well. So that is something to keep in mind. Let's see. That switch opener actually looks pretty good. Yeah, the Kale switches, the style ones like that. There's the Kale switches that have that. I believe Otemu switches are like that too. This one looks pretty good. This switch opener actually looks really good. It looks it's very similar to the switch opener I have, which I don't have at my desk right now. I mean, it comes with some extra stuff. It comes with a good switch puller, a brush, some tweezers, stem holder. I know you said you already have the stem holder and the tweezers, but it's always nice to have some extra. And it comes with how much? Krytox. What does it say? Looks like it comes with a decent amount of it, honestly. That looks like a decent sized jar. Yeah, if you want a Crytox 205, a kit with 205 grade 0 and a switch opener, I would suggest this guy right here. Not this one, but this one specifically. Because that switch opener actually looks pretty good. Let me send you the link. I will just put the link to it in the chat. Because this one can open the Kale switches as well. It has it's 2 switch openers in one, basically. Because the other side has the one for Kale switches. So I think that's your best bet. All right, but it is 10:15, and that's all I have planned for today. This is about the end of my normal streaming time. So Ace XD, if you guys have any other questions about things, let me know. Otherwise, that's really all I had planned for the stream, and I'm planning on ending here just in a few minutes. Just want to make sure you guys don't have any major pressing questions. Like I said, as far as the switch opener and lube bundle, I think the one I just sent in chat is probably your best bet. That switch opener looks pretty decent. So no, it has both. Let me open the browser again. So if you look at this one right here, the one that you can see me hovering over, that one is for the Kale style switches because you can see just the long bar instead of the 4 prongs on the other one. This one you see the 4 prongs. And then this one you see the long bar for the Kale style. In the kit up here, they just connect together so it holds together, and then you open the thing up and it has both sides. So yeah, so it has both ones. This is the kind of switch openers you want. One like this that has both for normal just cherry style and then Kale style switches. And if you see there's like the little metal piece there, those are magnets that it sticks together and just holds together so that when you're ready to use it, you open it up and you have either or. So and just in case, I'm not sure if I showed on stream exactly, you probably saw it at one point, but this is why I love this keyboard so much. It's a little fingerprinty right now because I haven't cleaned it off while building, but there we go. This is what I love so much about this keyboard, is this weight on the bottom. This is why it's my favorite keyboard. Yeah, it's entirely polymered stainless steel and it is so pretty. It's a pain to keep clean, as you can tell, but it's just super pretty looking. And it's heavy. This thing weighs a good 7 pounds built, 6 to 7 pounds built. So it's definitely a sturdy keyboard. Like I said, tough to keep clean, but well worth it. All right. Well, again, like I said, thanks everyone for hanging out. I am going to end this stream because I need to get cleaned up from the stream and get to sleep because I have to go to the gym at 6 a.m. and it is now almost 10:30. So I will see everyone next stream. I plan to stream some video games tomorrow during the day if anyone's available, but other than that, my next keyboard stream will probably be next Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll probably do another build next week at some point before New Year's, so it'll be the last build of 2021. And yeah, I don't know what it's gonna be yet, but I have some salmon tactile switches that I think I want to try and do a build with. So I'm really thinking that's what we're gonna put in something. Probably might be my Time 80. I do have an FR4 plate for that I want to try out. So, but yeah, look out for some TikToks on what next week's build's gonna be. Other than that, thanks everyone for hanging out. It's been fun. Hope you guys have a great rest of your evening. And happy holidays to everyone.